Can we set it like right here? Yeah, well, not really. I mean, if we do it at a distance, that works. And then scoot that back. What happens when I turn this off? Nice, Greenlee. Good, good to see you, Greenlee. Good to see you wearing that bright leather. Hey, I put it there just for you. What's up, SoCal? Good to see you, brother. I actually need to cook this. Oh, I do have one over here. Let me get my laptop out to put a little bit of ambiance in the back. Asking 21 questions. I got a suggestion wrapped in your presence. Okay. Let's see. Do we have YouTube on here? We do. Scroll to continue. Continue. So let's do royalty free lounge music. Not too much. Scent of the day. Encre Noir a la Extreme. Wow. Wow. It was funny because as soon as I started saying you might not like it by itself, just use it as a layering fragrance, I'm like, wait a second. He loves Bentley Absolute. You know, it takes some nuts to wear that by itself. So I was like, excuse me. I was like, oh, he'll definitely wear a la Extreme because Bentley Absolute is so much darker and smokier. This is more like warmer and drier. So I think it's definitely easier to wear than Bentley Absolute. But I'm glad you're enjoying it by itself because to be honest, like when I first bought it, I was like, man, this is just a layering fragrance. And then I tried Chanel's Sycamore because I was looking for vetiver fragrances. And I'm like, I tried this before I tried Sycamore. And I liked Sycamore, but I felt like it was just too simple to be like a $400 fragrance. And then I went back to this and I'm like, this smells exactly like Sycamore, but just with more like ambery resins. And then I started really appreciating it. It's hard to wear in Arizona when it's hot, but like right now, you could pull it off. I'm curious if this will switch. What y'all got for me tonight, man? What y'all got for me? What questions y'all got, man? I'm in my flaming log element. Yeah, man. I mean, dude, why not, bro? Why not? Gracias, Liam J. So after letting my... Isaac always comes in with like a really thorough commentary on where he's at with his collection. I love it. So after letting my camera and getting my nose on gourmand fragrances, I found camera not to be that gourmandy or bad as I thought. Yeah, I mean, the thing is camera isn't really a true gourmand. It's just more gourmand than anything in its class, you know? Um, Thing about it is like when you think gourmand, gourmand's supposed to be like cakey, um, juicy. You know what I'm saying? Like camera is just sugary, like a ton of vanilla. Vanilla is like almost gourmand. So it's not truly gourmand, but I mean, it does smell like baked goods. You know what I'm saying? We gotta put people in timeout like right off the bat. Come on, guys, don't be silly. We have the mod broom in here, guys. Don't be silly. Do you like green Irish tweed? Honestly, no. I love DNA's like green Irish tweed, but I find it to be not. I'm pretty picky when it comes to earthy fragrances, and I feel like green Irish tweed just kind of like it captures a part of the outdoors I'm not too fond of. Like I think there's better green earthy renderings that are even older than it. Like to me, Dior's Eau Sauvage is better than green Irish tweed. Um what's another really green fragrance? Banana Republic Vintage Green 78 to me is almost better than green Irish tweed, but if you put Encre Noir Sport under it, it makes it better than green Irish tweed because fig tea, green leaf, you know. Um, Vetiver Sensual from Mancera is a better green. I mean, shoot, Armaf's Tres Nuits is almost better than green Irish tweed. Unfortunately, it falls too much on lemon instead of green. You know what I'm saying? Um, what? Yeah, I mean, Eau Sauvage is like to me if you like green Irish tweed, you should just get Dior Eau Sauvage and call it a day. I don't know, there's just something to it. It's a good smelling fragrance, but it's so basic-y outdoors that to me, Silver Mountain Water is much more interesting of a composition because you have the metallic, the rainwater, the green, and the tea. Just it makes for a more well-rounded formula, you know. But it's not a bad fragrance. It just doesn't fit me that well. It's not an interesting enough green to me. Any recommendation for Bulgari? Yeah, this one right here, Man in Black. I smelled everything in the Bulgari line 2 weeks ago, and this is the only one that I thought worth buying. And it's also the most affordable. $70. This is basically Prada Black, done way more sexy, with much higher performance projection and sillage. Man in Black to me is one of the greatest Bulgari fragrances, period. And thankfully, it's one of the most affordable. Um, how about African Euro fragrance by Dior? I've never heard of that. Perion, I've never heard of that, buddy. What's a good freshie for somebody who doesn't like citrus or aquatic? A good freshie. Okay, so let's run through the gambit of freshie. Fresh linen, fresh aquatic, fresh citrus, fresh soapy, fresh green. So if you don't like fresh citrus, you can go linen. You can go linen, green, soapy, or floral even. So four different categories, one of each I would recommend, ranging from cheap to expensive, would be like, if you went linen, what was that linen fragrance I just tried that really blew me away? Um, Dang, what was the fragrance I just tried today that was like really good all around linen? I recommended it last stream. Um, I can recommend an alternative to it. Um, CK Everyone or Coach Open Road is going to be the best freshy, clean linen, like a dryer sheet, but a lot brighter feel to it. Yeah, try Open Road, Coach Open Road. If we're gonna go floral green, or if we're gonna go clean green, I would recommend something like Aqua de Gio Eau de Parfum, the latest release. If we're gonna go fresh floral, I would go something probably in the realm of Coach Open Road as well. Soapy, you can go to something like Tom Ford. You can go to something like this is a really sleeper. Lalique White. Very nice. Very nice. But you have to be a man. If you're under like 20 years old, don't buy this. But if you want like all of those freshy types in one minus much citrus, this is like one of the best linen whites. But gosh, it's got so much to it. Man, that is a crazy fragrance for 25 bucks. Lalique White, man. Really nice. Lalique White might have been the one I recommended. I thought I would be able to technically consider gourmand. Yeah. Honestly, bro, Kamarakawa is not really gourmand. I know a lot of people try to speak on it as such, but it's not. When you compare it to like, if you go on YouTube and type top 10, top 20 gourmands, you won't see Kamra anywhere near it. I'd love to hear something about the celestial or the essential oil notes discovery set you mentioned recently. Where did you get yours? Okay, so it's really nice. If you go to Amazon, let me scoot out of the way so people can see fragrances. If you go to Amazon and you type in essential oils and then type like 24 pack, 50 pack, just start typing numbers in. It'll correct you for you. But I think you can order it in like a 10 pack, a 24 pack, a 48 or 50 pack, and a 100 pack. And all of them are below 25 bucks. So I think I paid like 10 or 15 bucks for a 48 piece set. I wish I would have got a bigger one at the time, but I was buying fragrances like a madman. But I'm gonna get the 100 pack soon. But you can look at them. They're very inexpensive. That's what's awesome about them. But just look on Amazon essential oils pack, and then just start typing in numbers: 48 pack, 12 pack, 24 pack, whatever. And there's a couple, like 2 or 3 companies that sell these massive like piece sets for very cheap, like all under 25 bucks. Some of them are like 15, 20 bucks. And you can just look at all the notes and accords of the essential oils. And I mean, they're very solid. Like, if you listen to this lineup, I mean, almost all of them is like an influential note in fragrance. So we have Ylang, geranium, oregano, grapefruit, frankincense and myrrh, spearmint, juniper berries, lemon eucalyptus, tea tree, clary sage, jasmine, chamomile, vetiver, vanilla, cedarwood, tangerine, copaiba, lemongrass, rosemary, turmeric, citron, bergamot, sandalwood, cypress, basil, sweet orange, lavender, rose, heliotrope, patchouli, neroli, and lemon. Like, that's a nice set right there. I think this might have costed me 15 bucks. You get the nice droppers with them, and it's really nice. You just open them up, put them on your wrist, and you kind of, now granted, if I'm smelling vetiver, for instance, it's important to kind of do a little bit of research because you don't want to smell this vial of vetiver and think that this is how vetiver is rendered in fragrance, because vetiver can be rendered like 6 to 8 different ways, all of which are extremely different from one another. You know how you guys have heard me say this over and over: soapy, inky, earthy, green, you know. So it's important to know, do a little bit of research on each note before you smell them, to know that, like, okay, this is just one type of vetiver rendering and it's probably the most natural. But what's nice about it is you can start to take notes on what accords you like. And then once you kind of have a sense of the type of note pairings you like, you can plug them into Fragrantica in various combinations and find the closest fragrances to those notes. Say I like patchouli. I can go in and look up patchouli-based fragrances, or say I like patchouli and lemon. I can pair patchouli and lemon and say, search me a fragrance that has patchouli and lemon. And then it can point you to fragrances. So number one, it gets your mind wrapped around accords, so that when you're smelling a fragrance, you can see what accords inside of a fragrance you really appreciate. But two, it helps you to be able to search for fragrances a lot quicker that you might be interested in picking up next. You know, like, I'll give you an example, man. Recently, I was on a patchouli kick, and I was like, I must get patchouli, like a heavy patchouli-based fragrance. And after searching up all the patchouli-based DNAs, I was like, you know what? The best way for me to get patchouli is I like patchouli and cake. So I want almost a gourmand-esque patchouli that's rich and velvety. I totally forgot that Black Orchid is almost exactly that. It has velvety patchouli, earthiness, cacao. So the cacao and patchouli and orchid kind of make this chocolate cakey feel. And then it has the orchid. So then that led me to Zara Man. There were a couple of other patchouli fragrances in the runnings, like Molinard patchouli, psychedelic, you know, a couple different bangers, but I ended up with Zara. You know, but that was all off of one day I was on a patchouli kick. Azaro, Most Wanted by Night, and Most Wanted Parfums. Both parfums are solid. How many notes were in it? What were they? Just went over that. What are your top 3 of all time? Boxman, I don't have a top 3 of all time. I love all of my fragrances. I love some more than others during the week that I pick them out, but I rotate fragrances every single day. Every single day I wear a different 7 fragrances no matter what. Even though I might have a fragrance where I'm like, man, I want to rock this again because I love it. Like, for instance, I could wear Bulgari Man in Black every single day of the week. I could wear Tom Ford EDP Grey Vetiver any day of the week. I could wear Eros any day of the week. I could wear Mancera any day of the week. I could wear Bright Leather any day of the week. I could wear Lalique Ecus any day of the week. I can wear Supremacy Collector's Edition any day of the week. I can wear Peugeot any day of the week. I can wear L'Homme Ideal Extreme any day of the week. I could wear Musk Therapy any day of the week. You guys see what I'm saying? So because I rotate so much, I never have top 3s of all time. I only have, like, I could tell you, like, out of the 7 fragrances last week that I wore, which 3 I gravitated more towards, but I wouldn't use that as like a recommendation to you as like, these are the best 3 of my collection, you should get them. Fragrances like that don't exist to me. Now, there are timeless fragrances, but most of the timeless fragrances I have are not truly top 3s. They're like political top 3s, meaning like if somebody who was never into fragrance needed 3 fragrances that would probably make them happy, that's what you would point them to. But to people who collect fragrance, the Aqua di Gios and the Gucci's and the YSLs and all that stuff, and the elixirs and the Aero CDT and all that, like, they don't, that's never our picks. Do you ever go nose blind to basically all fragrances for a day or two? I got in several frags the other day, and I think I overdid it and could hardly smell anything from the frags. Well, I think it's important that wherever you store your fragrance, you don't spray your fragrances on in your fragrance room. So, like, even though I have a lot of fragrances right here, I don't pick one out for the day and stand right here and start spraying myself, because fragrances will flood this room and there'll be residue fragrance going in my nose and fragrance DNAs mixing all day long and getting in my nostrils and making me uh, nose blind. So whenever I pick a fragrance, I simply put it on right outside the front of my door, and then I walk outside to let it dry down. Unless it's a fragrance that's not really beast mode, then I'll let it cake on right in front of my doorway. But I take my fragrances out of my room so that when I'm in my room where my fragrances are housed, I'm not getting residual stuff either in my nose or on my skin. Another thing that I do is I always keep a cup of coffee beans or coffee grounds around. So I'll seal these coffee grounds in the kitchen, and sometime during the night, I'll close the lid and put it near my fragrances. So the next morning, I'm clearing my nostrils before I put a fragrance on. I've experienced that actually so many times. Yeah, we all do. Have you ever considered using essentials to supplement slash mod frags? I've considered it, but it's not really beneficial to me right now in my fragrance journey. I'm still experimenting with alcohol-based layering. I do sometimes put on lotion, unscented lotion, to make a fragrance last longer, but I don't really pair essential oils and stuff like that with fragrance because it becomes extremely hard to nail the ratios. Every time you apply an essential oil on a certain area or pulse point of the skin, it's going to make a different type of formulation every single time because you're not measuring anything. You know, what are you going to do? Get a teardropper and say, oh, 2 drops of essential oil, rub it into your skin and then spray on. It's just a tedious process. I would rather just spray for now. But, you know, I have the essential oils to wrap my mind around different accords. But in the future, if there's certain accords that are like my top favorites, like vetiver, patchouli, etc., I will start to do that. Where like if I'm wearing a vetiver fragrance, I'll put some vetiver essential oil at the pulse points, then spray the fragrance on just to get a little extra push, a little more dimension to the fragrance. But that's getting super nerdy. I probably won't start messing with that until maybe end of the year, maybe even next year. Thank you, mods. I love Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill. A lot of people do. Wash it out, Isaac. Absolutely, SoCal. Yeah, I was wondering if essentials present and project differently than alcohol based. Yeah, they absolutely do. I mean, you got to think of it, right? Like lotion is almost, it does the same type of thing as lotion, but lotion is somewhere in between oil and water in a sense. So, but the problem with oil is much more concentrated but much smaller. So you can't spread it on a surface area. So you can't really use an essential oil as something to boost performance. You mainly would use an essential oil in combination with a fragrance to add to the projection and sillage. Because if I put, you know, some vetiver on my pulse point right here, right? You can't put that over your whole arm, or similarly, like if I put some essential oil right here and then sprayed it, the surface area is not blending properly with the same ratio. You can't call it like 1-to-1 or 2-to-1. It's hard to measure. So instead, what it does is it just, you put it in a pulse point and that oil pushes the fragrance off of it. But you have to concentrate it. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe like a 50-cent piece size surface area of essential oil and spray almost directly over top of it, not a big mist spray if you want some extra push on stuff. But you should be very particular with it. Like you wouldn't wear Elysium and then put a vetiver essential oil under that. It just wouldn't make sense. Whereas If you're wearing like a rose-based fragrance and you put a rose essential oil on, that would make a lot of sense. If you're wearing a vetiver-based fragrance and then you put on a vetiver essential oil to give it more push, that's a simplistic enough combo to see the results of that. Whereas you don't want to use a singular note essential oil in a really complex formulation because it'll just get buried among all those accords or it'll blend horribly. So you want to stay like linear. How do you like Jean Paul Gaultier Paradise Garden? It's okay. I give it like, I'm being gracious and giving it an 8 out of 10. But there's a Paradise Garden clone, so you don't need to buy the original anymore. What about Carolina Herrera? Any good ideas that might be able to recommend? Carolina Herrera Bad Boy Cobalt is nice. Scent of the day, Rasasi La Yukawam. Wow. Dude, La Yukawam is so old, it's ridiculous. You know, that's like the Gandalf of leather clones. Fragrance World Imperial. Nice. I like that one for sure. Yeah, I got you. It's like you got to normalize, match the format of everything for it to work. Yeah, you got to have some consistency. And, you know, for instance, when I mix two fragrances together and create a formulation, or I fill a 5 ml vial equal parts two fragrances, I can get a consistent mix of what that's like and try it out. With essential oils, it becomes so nuanced and different every single time. It becomes hard to replicate. So it's like, and it becomes hard to make changes because if you're going to adjust amounts, how do you even measure? Whereas like with sprays, you can always say, okay, 1 to 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 3 to 2, whatever, and build ratios really quickly and narrow those down quickly. The moment you apply an essential oil and then put fragrance off of it, you really got to basically take a shower. You're not going to really be encouraged to do that again in a different capacity until the day after. And then even by then, it's so tedious. You'll burn out of that really quickly unless you have like a ton of success with it. What's a great summer frag that falls in the same DNA of Le Beau? I don't consider Le Beau to be summer. I think for people that like Jean Paul Gaultier fragrances, they make an excuse for Jean Paul Gaultier fragrances to be any season, any reason, but they're truly not. They shine in winter, fall, or cold climate for me. But I think a more versatile Jean Paul Gaultier style of fragrance is going to be Halloween Man EDT. You're still going to scratch that sweet, not tropical, but that kind of sweet, almost tropical or almost bubblegummy feel. You'll scratch your Invictus Aqua feel. You'll scratch your Versace Eros EDT feel, but it's going to be a lot more versatile because it's a lot fresher. And, you know, for $25-ish, you can get 120 ml of that bottle pretty much on tap anywhere you go. How good is Hunter Killer or Hunter Intense? It's a very good clone in terms of accuracy. As a fragrance, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's just slightly above average, but after a while, you'll get bored of it. But it is a really good clone. Very popular in the community. Kind of like one of those older clones. It's like when you first start buying clones, Armoff Hunter and Armoff Hunter Killer are kind of like a lot of people start off clones, kind of like how Club de Nuit Intense Man is. What's up, Qatari? Good to see you, brother. What do you think of Azur of French Avenue? 7 or 8 out of 10. And Nabil, hello, brother. What's up, brother? How you doing? I must say you have to try Tom's Cosmala line. It's a request. Send it to me, Nabil. Qatari, he's talking about Trey Fragrance. He's seen you in there. Scent of the day, Jimmy Choo Man Aqua. Okay, I see you. This will always remain my favorite Jimmy Choo. But I'm a grown man, you know. Jimmy Choo, man, that DNA structure is really slept on. It reminds me a lot of La Nuit de l'Homme and L'Homme, just much more hefty and spicier. Um, but man, Jimmy Choo Man EDP original is like a masterclass in businessman slash date night man out there. It's such a hefty fragrance, but a lot of people love the DNA of Jimmy Choo Man, but they're too young. Like they're under 30 years old. So if you're under 30 years old, but you like the Jimmy Choo Man DNA, you kind of have to go aqua or ice because it's putting too much hair on your chest. Ice and aqua are safe for younger guys to still get the Jimmy Choo DNA while not feeling like they're 35 years old like me. Appreciate you, Joel. Appreciate you, Greenlee. Your take on Off Non-Supremacy Collector's Edition. I tell people this all the time. These are the two, if you're chasing Aventus at all, these are the two best fragrances to buy. If you like Oak Moss and you like Nishane Hasavat more, get this one first. If you like more Aventus Absolute or Versace Eros Energy more, get this one. Even though both of these chase the Aventus Absolute DNA in different ways, because this is more open, zesty, bright pineapple, similar to Eros Energy. This is more of canned pineapple, sweeter, smoother, softer. Even though these guys are very close and they're chasing somewhat of a similar thing, I always tell people these fragrances go like this. At a distance, they look really close to each other in smell, and as they get close to you, they do this. You see that? From a distance, they seem similar, and as they get close to you, they divide and go their separate ways. So they're both worth getting. And in terms of anything Aventus, I'm no longer recommending Club de Nuit, not recommending limited edition, not recommending the new Parfum when it comes out, because I know it's going to be booty, not recommending L'Aventure, not recommending Off Not Supremacy Not Only Intense, not recommending Nitro Black, not recommending Mont Blanc, either Legend or Explorer, whichever one's chasing the same DNA. None of those. I'm no longer recommending any of those. They are all decent, but those are the Titan 2 carriers for Aventus DNA. Now, the one thing I say always is if you want to get one-to-one perfection close to Aventus Absolute, you cannot get it with these two. They both fail for different reasons, but they're both 90% in their own respect. But to get the closest to Absolute, you will not get it by using Collector's Edition. It's too much oak moss, and so it'll remind you too much of Hasavat, so you should push it towards Hasavat and not towards Aventus Absolute. But Club de Nuit per show is going to be the only fragrance that'll get you to Absolute about 90%, and then to get the other 10% there, you need to give it the smoky birchwood that it's missing. And that's where Ancre Noir a la Extreme comes in. If you spray this first at a 1-to-1 ratio with Peugeot, you get 100% clone of Aventus Absolute to utter perfection. So if you're going to do 2 sprays of Armaf Peugeot, you need to layer 1, 2 of a la Extreme and then 3, 4 of Peugeot. So equal 1-to-1 ratio no matter how many sprays. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. I wouldn't really go over 6 sprays with that combination because it's a 10-hour plus fragrance, and with this under it, it's going to be a 12-hour plus fragrance. So I would say don't ever spray more than 6 total. So you can only either go 1-to-1, 2-to-2, or 3-to-3. I told you, Kale. Absolutely. I told you. Do you have any ultra niche fragrances? What's ultra niche? You mean like something nobody's ever heard of? Is that what you're... I mean, the thing is like a lot of people in FragCom have heard of stuff, but the FragCom is so small that almost every niche is super unknown to most of the world. Most of the world has never even heard of Bulgari, Chanel, Tom Ford, Bond Number 9. You know what I mean? People in FragCom think certain niche is so common, but all niche is uncommon, and many designers are uncommon. So it's like, yeah. I mean, almost every fragrance on this rack to anybody in the general public would have never even seen any of these fragrances in their entire life. Maybe Eros EDT, for sure. Maybe Acqua di Gio Armani Eau de Parfum. Maybe Jimmy Choo. Outside of that, no fragrance here is common to the public, except for down here. Down here is our cheapies. This stuff down here, people might see if they go to Ross, you know, the entire Banana Republic line. By the way, we're giving that away to a viewer. It's a 200 ml of Linen Vetiver. That'll be a giveaway soon. But this whole, all this down here, minus this stuff to the right, this is considered designer here, clone, clone, clone in the back, you know, and then designer from there, cheap designer, you know what I'm saying? Banana Republic, Calvin Klein, stuff like that. But even those fragrances, many people haven't even heard of any of the fragrances from Banana Republic. They've just seen them. People may have heard of Calvin Klein, but everything above that from this rack up, most people have never even seen. So even a lot of designer is niche to people. You know, I consider anything niche, anything that's not in Ulta Beauty or Sephora. So all designer fragrances that aren't in Ulta Beauty or Sephora, to me, are niche. That's not the true definition, but that's how I refer to it, because I like to speak politically correct sometimes when I'm talking about fragrances. No one's heard of Bentley. No one's heard of Ferragamo. No one's heard of freaking La Lique. No one's heard of any of the clones. There are some brands even frag heads haven't heard of. Yeah, I mean, if you want to get cute points by saying, you know, oh, Mind Games or 8 and Bob or what else? You know, Clive Christian or I mean, even something really common to FragCom like Narciso Rodriguez, like to me, that's niche because you people, a lot of people have heard of it, but they never put their nose to it. They just have only heard of it because they're sitting on YouTube all day, you know, getting high off fragrance reviewers, but they don't really spend time with these fragrances. It really ticks me off sometimes. I feel like a lot of people in FragCom say they're familiar with a fragrance just because they heard the name of it on a YouTube video. It's like you never smelled it, you never bought it, you probably never been in a Neiman Marcus to really smell any niche. You probably only have a couple decants to your name. Don't say, you know, it's like some people, because they have Club de Nuit Intense Man, act like they're familiar with Iconic and Milestone because, you know, to get to the awareness of Club de Nuit Intense Man, everybody's going to mention Sillage and Iconic and Milestone. But you never bought the fragrance and you've never smelled them. But you think somehow you know all of them because you know what people say about them. It's like, well, bro, don't give recommendations or talk about fragrances you don't own. I don't talk about fragrances that are not on this shelf, guys. I might make certain references, but I'll never reference a fragrance on this channel that is not on this shelf. I will not recommend fragrances that are not either on that shelf or in these vials. So some people say, well, bro, you talk about mind games and all this stuff that I don't see bottles of that. Well, here they are. Okay. Anything I speak about, I can pull out instantly and tell you why I said something. And a lot of this is where my niche is, because I'm so anal about buying niche and pulling the trigger on niche. I have to buy it first. But here's an example. Here's some Clive Christian. Gourmand Oriental. Thank God I got this as a sample because it is god awful. Here's some Day 3 niche Escandalo. Thank God I got that as a sample. And we can do this all day long. I don't talk about fragrances I do not own. You guys can always trust that when you come to my channel and I'm blabbing about fragrance, I am not discussing anything I don't carry. I do not have a right to discuss fragrances I do not carry. I don't have that Frank Oliver fragrance ward. I don't. YSL myself is one of the worst fragrances in the YSL lineup. Almost every YSL fragrance is better than myself. Myself smells okay, but compared to Y, La Nuit de l'Homme, L'Homme, I'm always missing one or two of the YSL fragrances, but they're all better than myself. Aventus Absolute plus YSL myself plus Sauvage Elixir equals... See, I don't get that, man. There's a lot of fragrances people say are like that plus Sauvage Elixir. I don't think people have truly... I don't know, Nabil. I think that's quite a reach. But I'm not the Lord of Fragrance. Your opinion is just as valid as mine. It seems like people only try to buy fragrances like Tom Ford or Clive Christian because of the name brand. They just want to feel a status boost and say that they wear Tom Ford. I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I mean, you got to be a real idiot to drop $150 to $200 on a fragrance just to say that you have it. I think people don't, I think the answer is people don't have enough experience with fragrance to make a good decision. So they make the best decision where they try a fragrance and they want the fragrance and they buy the fragrance, and at first they really love it, and then they slowly stop wearing it because it just doesn't speak to them the same way it spoke to them at that time. I do think that wannabe slash aspiring fragrance collectors do buy things just to say that they did. You know what I'm saying? Like, they hop on every trend. You know, when the new Club de Nuit parfum comes out, they're going to buy it without waiting for the FOMO to go over. You know, when Atlas came out, let me read you this DNA right now, and you guys tell me if you would buy this fragrance. When Atlas came out, Latafa Atlas Fragrantica. When this fragrance came out and people started hyping it up, I was shocked how many people bought this fragrance. Okay? I'm going to read you the notes in this fragrance. And you guys tell me if this sounds like something you would purchase. Top notes, sea salt. Sorry, top notes, the actual sea, salt, and lemon. So that's the top. Sea salt and lemon. In the mid, you have green and iris. And in the base, you have ambergris, which is whale sperm, oak moss, and sandalwood. So you have sea salt and lemon combined with green and iris, combined with whale sperm, oak moss, and sandalwood. I was shocked how many people blind bought this DNA. Even though you look at this note breakdown and it's like, what the heck is this? And that's why half the people that bought it said this is incredible. And the other half bought it and said, I'm about to pass out. So I think a lot of people, but it's like no one's sitting on YouTube all day. So in one respect, you kind of find people you trust and you try to let them save you some time by trusting their word. And if you see a couple people you really like say the fragrance is good, you're going to buy it. I don't know why people don't decant more. It's just, I mean, I do know why. They lack patience. What do you think of Sauvage Elixir? It's, it'll get you compliments from young women. But when it comes to grown women, you'll smell like their ex-boyfriends. Last fall, I was trying to find a frag that gave a Fallen Leaves vibe. Got to sample Foxcroft by Solstice Scents. After some research, no bueno, like raw dirt. If you want something that smells like leaves, get that Autumn Leaves from Maison Margiela. I can't even believe I'm recommending a replica fragrance, but if you want leaves, give that one a go. Is Amir Sadrat Essence good for every day? Shamil, absolutely. Absolutely. This is such a fun fragrance to wear. Smells infinitely better than Amir Sadrat or Mancera Sadrat Boisé. Smells infinitely better. Smells exactly like Amir Sadrat, or smells exactly like Mancera's Sadrat Boisé, but just like the juice would suggest, it has a note of honeydew green melon. Such a real green honeydew melon. It's juicy. So picture Sadrat Boisé, that classiness, slightly playful, but also classy, sophisticated fragrance with this honeydew, this fresh cut, ripe, bright, juicy honeydew dripping off this fragrance. Such a fun fragrance to wear. You won't have anything in your fragrance collection that smells like this at all. The closest thing that might remind you in the wheelhouse of it might be Armaf's Club de Nuit Milestone, but this is watermelon. This is classy, sophisticated, ambery, vetivery watermelon. This is not any of that. But because honeydew and watermelon are both melons, that when you think of melon fragrances, there aren't that many like that are designer around. And even in the clone category, a lot of people don't utilize melon. They utilize citruses and fruits. So you won't have anything in your collection that has honeydew melon in it. Melon fragrances that come to my mind right now is Amir Sadrat Essence with honeydew, Armaf Milestone with watermelon, Nitro Red with watermelon, though to me, Milestone is infinitely better than Nitro Red. And then a lot of people don't know this, but Jimmy Choo Man actually has cantaloupe in it. And you can really tell it has cantaloupe in it. Yeah, Amir Sadrat Essence is awesome. It's just as playful as Vibrant Vetiver Delight, and but a little more sophisticated. Paradise Garden, we already answered that. Tom Ford Noir Ombre. Tom Ford Noir Ombre is really good. Okay. Okay. Lost Cherry. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to wear that 3-piece suit and then go into a niche store with the notepad and come home with a ton of testers. There you go, Katari. Don't go in there with a notepad. You'll look crazy. Go in there with your cell phone with notepad open in your cell phone. Do not go in there with a notepad. You're going to look crazy. Because what they're basically, you walk in there with a notepad, they know you're not buying fragrance. They're going to basically say, this man just wants to come in here and take notes. He's not buying anything. You're not going to walk out of there with a ton of testers. Maybe your cell phone. Don't be on your cell phone a lot. You know what I'm saying? Just walk through. I would say for every 3 to 4 fragrances you try, you say to him, hey, do you happen to have this in a sample? I'd love to get, I'm really liking this fragrance, but I want to get a wearing experience with it so I can see if it still translates on skin good and see how it makes me feel. Then they'll know, okay, you're going to be buying a fragrance, if not now, potentially soon. You can even say, hey, my birthday's coming up. I'm going to be getting, my girlfriend's going to be coming in here, probably getting a fragrance for me in about a week or so. I'm doing all her dirty work for her by narrowing down which fragrances I might like. I need to pick a couple and then use that as your piece to try a bunch of different fragrances. And as you're trying a bunch, if there are any that stand out to you, ask them, hey, do you have a sample? I'd love to try and wear this and see if I can narrow these down to figure out which ones I want, and say that a couple times so you can take some samples and then see if he initiates giving you more samples than you asked for. And then when your girl goes in there, if you have a girl, send your girl in to buy a bottle when you actually want a bottle, and then have her ask for more samples since you bought from them. Because retailers give a lot more samples to women than men. Does the whale sperm make the fragrance last longer? I'd hope so. I mean, if the whale's going to work that hard to give you that note, you know, it better stretch. I buy a lot of clones and designers. I don't buy real expensive clones. I do buy gold jewelry. It's an investment, in my opinion. Hey, we all have things we invest in. Some people invest in cheeseburgers on a weekly basis. Can you compare Lalique Equus and Lalique Lion in terms of longevity and performance? Lion would be this one. Yeah. Lalique Pour Homme. So Lalique Pour Homme is about 90% close to Creed's Bois de Portugal. I think Mercedes-Benz Intense is 10 out of 10 close to Bois de Portugal. This is a fougere. It's a freshie with very high sophisticated fougere charm. It's a timeless fougere. Equus is a fresh citrus amber vetiver fragrance. So both kind of sit in the same place of longevity. I would call these about 5 to 6 hour eau de toilette fragrances. In fact, Lalique Pour Homme is an eau de parfum. Equus is an eau de parfum, surprisingly. Yeah. So I would say reliably 6 hour fragrances, but you have to minimum spray 6 times to really get push. When I'm wearing these, I hate to tell you this, but I put 10 sprays of these on. 10 sprays or 10 sprays. And the reason why is because they're lighter fragrances. They're very aromatic. And so as air passes, and I also wear these very close to skin. I don't put them on clothes. Fragrances that are fougere and fresh citric, vetiver, amber fragrances, you put them on your shirt and the air will just evaporate these fragrances. They must be close to skin fragrances, skin only, 6 to 10 sprays, and they will give you more of an 8-hour push. But safe 6-hour bets, but apply them to skin. If you do spray 10 sprays of either on skin, do it right outside your front door and then walk outside to let it dry down and waft a little bit. Close your nose. And then after that 30 seconds to a minute of dry down, the fragrance will relax and be a little less projective, but that'll really give you the layering that you'll need to take on an 8-hour shift at work or 8 hours of performance. Bro, you've earned my trust. I'll at least put my nose to anyone you recommend because I loved that Blue Noir. I'm telling you, man. People get mad at me because, like, I'll ask them very specific questions and then only recommend one fragrance instead of like 15. It's like, why don't I recommend you one fragrance and see if you trust me? And then if you trust me, I'll ask you more questions next time and we'll start to build on that one fragrance that we recommended and see what you like about it and figure out how we can branch from there. Recommending you 10 or 15 fragrances, you don't even know if you can trust me. You know, it doesn't make sense. I recommend one fragrance because I'm always going to recommend a fragrance that is an absolute crowd favorite. Ombre Nomad Opinion from Louis Vuitton. Not for everybody. Very good fragrance, but not for everybody. Not to me. I don't know, unless you own more than like 40, 50 fragrances, I don't think it's worth the money. Aventus bottles from 2011. Okay. Hey, SB. What's up, Jag? What are your thoughts on 9 p.m. Dive? I have 9 p.m., but I don't like it. Dive is different than 9 p.m., but it is not better. They're on the same level. I would stay from 9 p.m. Entirely. There's too many fragrances in the realm of those DNAs that absolutely crush them. I know tobacco is a very grown-up note, but I was smelling Valentino Coral Fantasy the other day, and I didn't find it to be too mature. You know, honestly, a lot of people don't like tobacco, but that's just because they try tobacco-dominant fragrances, and that's why people don't like leather, because when they try leather, they're going to go try Toscano leather, ombre leather, off non-rare carbon, La Yucawam, and stuff like that, and it's going to turn them off if they're younger folks. You want a fragrance that's like has leather in it as a supporting note, not a dominant note. There's a reason why everybody loves Ferragamo's bright leather, because it's almost not even leather. It's only like 30% leather and 70% citrus. So, you know, even Le Male Elixir has tobacco in it, but it's a soft tobacco. It's almost non-existent in the fragrance, and it's mostly a honey vanillic spice fragrance. So that's the way you have to approach tobacco and leather, is you want them to be supporting roles with 30% or less accord in the fragrance, and the fragrance to be dominated by other accords. Ambergris is from sperm whales, but not whale sperm. I know, it's a funny joke that I say. It's still a funky substance. I mean, ambergris is on par with, you know, animal flesh. And nobody knows the difference between animalic and civet and oud, true real oud, and ambergris and all that stuff. It's either flesh or finkel. You know, you can't even describe it because it's not one accord. It's all rendered so differently. It's like a weird secret sauce that people put in fragrances. People use animalics to basically give the illusion of sophisticated nuance in fragrance. So with oud, in high concentrations of real oud, it smells like varying fecal matter crap. But there's something to the accord where in certain concentrations and in certain harvests, it can pull out an elegance that's undescribable. You know, Initio's Oud for Greatness has an undescribable mysteryness about the DNA that comes from a finkly but more freshy finkly oud. You know, just is what it is. Ambergris, civet, oak moss. Oak moss isn't really animalic, but oak moss is a very distinct accord where by itself it smells terrible, but in fragrance it smells incredible. How are Amir Celestial and Cod Lodge Island? Amir Celestial is amazing. Cod Lodge Island I can't really speak to. That's hilarious, Joel. If my girl really likes Acqua di Gio Parfum on me, what's a niche fragrance that she might like on me that I can try out? I tried Leighton and she hated it. Well, so what she hates is when you smell like a sweet boy toy. So what she likes about Acqua di Gio is you feel like a strong, sophisticated, grown man. And that you're fresh. She likes fresher fragrances on you. She doesn't want you to smell like sugar. She doesn't want you to smell like sugar and spice. She doesn't want you to smell like vanilla. She wants you to smell like you have armpit hair, like you have chest hair, like you have nuts. So if I were to recommend an elevation from the Acqua di Gio Parfum, I might go with Latafa Sacrat, which is the best Acqua di Gio Profumo. It's basically Acqua di Gio with smoky incense under it. Even more classy, $20 on Amazon. So that'll be your variation of Acqua di Gio. Another freshie that I think she would enjoy is Musk Therapy. This is French Avenue Royal Blanc Extrait de Parfum. Take a screenshot of this real quick. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another more earthy masculine fragrance is going to be Lalique Equus. Take a picture of that. $25, 100 ml. It has a horse head on it. Don't look at Lalique Pour Homme. Don't search it by that. It's Equus, Equus. That is a really nice, fresh bergamot, amber, and vetiver fragrance. Very manly, very sophisticated, but also slightly playful with the bergamot, but very rich smelling without smelling overly sweet. This is a this one. If you want her to know that you're the one, and she doesn't need to play any more games, and you're the guy she wants to marry, put on Bulgari Man in Black. This is basically Prada Luna Rossa Black. More projection, more push, more complexity. This is a seductive killer. You wear this on a date night, she won't let you go outside. I have Lalique Equus, smells great, but can't smell it unless I put my nose in my shirt. Shamil, spray it 10 times on skin, not on clothes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Under your shirt right here, 9, 10. Cannot put that on clothes. You have to spray Equus on skin directly. Don't spray it at a distance either. Spray it up close and really wet the skin. What does ambergris smell like? I think that's been answered. How would you recommend I layer Encre Noir à la Extrême with my Club de Nuit once it comes in? 1 to 1. So for every spray that you're going to do of Club de Nuit Intense Man, you put 1 spray of this under it. So if you're going to go for 6 sprays, which I think is the maximum you can go with these 2 bottles, you're going to go, 1, 2, 3. then take your Club de Nuit and go 1, 2, 3 over top, or 2, 2. So 1, 1, 2, 2, or 3, 3. One of this, one of that, or sorry, one of this, one of that, one of this. Um, yeah, yeah. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Always put a la Extreme as the first fragrance and put Club de Nuit on top of it. Okay, recommend something $100 to $300 and I promise I'll buy it. Come on. I don't know anything about you. Give me your favorite fragrance to wear right now and I'll give you a recommendation. Yeah. Yeah, Joel, I've heard that. Absolutely, Ryle. I'm going to head out here in about 3 minutes, boys. So give me your last minute questions. And I really am leaving in 3 minutes because I've got work in the morning. If you guys saw what kind of shorts and slippers I was wearing right now, you guys would die laughing. Yeah, see, the problem with Aqua di Gio is dated, but Aqua di Gio Profumo is the only Aqua di Gio that isn't dated. Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, and Parfum are older fragrances. But get Profumo, Latafa Sucrat, Suqraat. You'll get, there's something about incense, patchouli, and vetiver that really elevate it to be a much more modern take on the Aqua di Gio lineup. It's way sexier, way more masculine. This is going to be way better than your Parfum. But Bulgari, I would highly recommend to you. Like, this is all you need. If your girl liked ADG on you, you put that on and she will fall out of her chair. Yeah, see, I can't, Racer. I need more information. That doesn't help me. Yeah, I'll beatbox for you, Kale. Another minute or so, guys, for your recommendations. Or not recommendations, your questions. Oh, man. Gosh, I was thirsty. Which one, Racer? I have. Liquid Brun's not really my cup of tea, though it is a really good fragrance. If you like vanilla-based fragrances, it's very good. But it's not my tea. I have too many vanillic spices, fragrances that to me beat it out. Racer, give me your top 3 fragrances in your collection. To you personally, what do you like lately? Ooh. Take care, Shamil. Much love, brother. Seth says, how do you feel about Jimmy Choo Man Blue? I like Jimmy Choo Man more. Blue is okay. Blue is okay. It just isn't special. I got my girlfriend Versace Dylan purple for Valentine's Day. Okay. Dylan blue Sauvage. And what was your Versace fragrance, Racer? I'm looking for something like a Ventus, which is not a Ventus. That makes no sense. Lionheart, which is what? Lamal Elixir? No, that's Kingdom. Lionheart is Jean-Paul Gaultier, no? Mont Blanc Explorer or L'Aventure Intense? Yeah, but L'Aventure and Mont Blanc Explorer is a Ventus. I mean, it's not a very good Aventus, but it's a Ventus. Smokiness with some citrus and woods. Get Afro Leather by Maison Alhambra, Qatar. Afro Leather by Maison Alhambra. You won't look back. No, I know Lionheart is Armaf, but I'm saying what's it cloning? Because I know Kingdom is Lamal Elixir, but Lionheart, is it a Jean-Paul Gaultier clone? Or help me out here, I forget. I don't feel like Googling it. Yeah. Get Afro Leather from Maison Alhambra. It's cloning Memo Paris's African leather. And you will absolutely fall in love with it. 10 out of 10 fragrance, 100 ml. You can get it on Amazon or anywhere. Very inexpensive. Amazing fragrance. Amazing fragrance. Lionheart is Lamal Elixir. Okay, I was correct. Okay. So Lamal Elixir, Sauvage, and Dylan Blue. $100 to $300. Hmm. Hmm. I'm gonna wildfire name a couple of fragrances. Uh, Narciso Rodriguez Blue Noir Le Parfum. Eight and Bob Egypt. Um, Prada Luna Rosa Le Parfum. Bulgari Man in Black. Um, Mancera Amberful. Um, yeah, try any of those. I just found my dad's old bottle of Obsession. Nice. What do you think of Amouage Opus Royal Tobacco? Haven't put my nose to it yet, Qatar. Oh, there you go. Trust Joel. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. All right, guys. Minute left, and I'm out of here. Last questions. Throw them in the chat. I'm gonna give you all 60 seconds, and then we're gonna close. Joel is the niche king. All hail Joel. Take care, Qatar. So good to see you, brother. Appreciate you, Greenleaf, for that transcription. Joel, always good having you moderate, and appreciate you guys locking it down in here. Really appreciate it. I just filmed 6 episodes today, so we're we're so close to being done with all my long form reviews. I think we're like 40 fragrances away from finishing all my long form reviews, and then we're going to niche fragrances only for a while and going to my concept videos. All right, guys. Thank you so much for rocking with the Mancera, Mancera, Amberful, Amberful, Mancera Amberful. Definitely try that. Prada, I never recommended, but if you want a great Prada black, just get Bulgari Man in Black. But yeah, you'll really love Amberful. You won't look back with Amberful. Really nice. Appreciate you guys. Love y'all. Just put in an order of Man in Black. Any thoughts on Cedar Bois? I haven't put my nose to that, Derek, but you'll love that Man in Black. Trust me. You'll absolutely love it. Thank you guys so much for rocking with the scent bubble. If I didn't answer any questions, please put it in the comments section. I'll be happy to answer that for you within the 24-hour period. Hope I was helpful and valuable for you guys tonight. Until next time, we'll probably only go live this week twice. I've got a lot of episodes to drop. I might drop 2 a day starting on tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. We got so much content coming, as I always say, but it's just piling up. Love y'all, man. Y'all have a blessed night.